Today, we're going to take a look at Insta NPCs from Mobius Adventures, written by Brian Fitzpatrick.
Welcome to Solitary RPG.
I learned about Insta NPCs from the host of Me, Myself, and I, Trevor Duvall. He is in between seasons and has been putting out some different videos, GM advice or just random stuff, just to keep people entertained as he works on the next season and gets it ready for release. And in one of his videos, he mentioned this product. Like a good consumer of video content on YouTube, I immediately went and checked it out. And so, with that being said, I'm going to put a link to his video in the description. And if you're interested in purchasing this, I'm going to ask that you purchase it using his link because he's affiliated with Drive Through RPG and gets a little bit of money back. So use his link because this all came from him. I am not original in any way, shape, or form on this product. I'm just going to do a review on it because in his video it was just a quick mention, and I felt that it had a lot of good content that I would like to share with more viewers. Just so you know, this is not doesn't come in a book form. This is all PDF copies only. The first PDF you can get, Supplement 0, is actually free. And then the additional PDFs you can get, which there's 10 of them, they vary in price from a whopping dollar to a whopping $1.25. So costs to purchase all of these products is very low. And what I was able to do was take all the PDFs, print them out, and bound them in this nice book and gave it a nice cover because that's what I do. So, with that being said, if you're interested, please check out Trevor's link in the video description of his and purchase it through that. So, what is Insta NPC? It's a quick way of creating NPCs. So it's kind of tells you everything you need to know. It uses a variety of different dice that any role player is familiar with, from the D20 down to the D4, and you kind of create characters. They're very short supplements. I think there's one that's pretty lengthy, and that's dealing with artists, and we'll talk about that one later. But the first one that's free is, you got a cover page. You got this, I'm just gonna call it what it is. You have these terrible character profiles. I can say that because it says it right here. NPC art courtesy of the Terrible Character Portrait Project from Jeff Preston. So these are terrible portraits for your NPCs. So have some fun with this. So the first one only has two charts. So this is kind of like ground zero for creating of your NPCs, and you're just gonna roll on this chart, which is a D8, which is just gonna tell you how many times to roll on this chart. So I rolled a 3. I'm just gonna roll once. So I'm gonna get one descriptor for my NPC, and I rolled a 38. So impaired. So just like everything in the solo gaming genre, all you do is you just get like word tables, and they're just to spark your imagination. I'm creating an NPC. I rolled impaired. So depending on the game that I'm playing, if it's fantasy, Old West, 1920s Cthulhu, or science fiction, far off, weird world type stuff, impaired can mean a lot of different things. So I would have to take that word and try to decide how that word is going to fit to for my NPC. And impaired up front could be hearing impaired, so maybe my NPC doesn't hear things quite as well and feels they heard something else being said, which could create some conflict. So so you get to use that one word, but that's all this first supplement's going to give you. One chart to roll for how many times you're going to roll on this chart to get descriptive words to generate your NPC. And then here they're going to give you some examples with some terrible uh, portrait pictures that you can look at. And if you wanted to, you could just pull these. This was free. So you could just pull these and say, okay, I've got 4 NPCs already for my game. I don't have to roll anything. But again, this is all about the product. So supplement 0, that's it. And then on the back of the supplement, you've got some more information about the company and some products that they sell. And if you're interested, if you're impressed with their offerings here, you may want to look at some of their other offerings. I, at this point, have not taken the time to go look at these one spots or any of their other products, because as soon as I printed this off, I was off to binding this into a book. So that's our starting point. Moving forward, all of these supplements have like this back page, but moving forward with the book that I created, I did not print out these back pages because I was saving the ink, and to me, this was a waste of ink for a book for myself. So you won't see this anymore moving forward. So the next thing, supplement number 1, is going to be our motivations, attitude, and appearances. So now we're going to start developing our character a little bit. First thing you may want to decide, depending on what's going on, is you may want to decide your gender, because that may help you. So my impaired person, I may want to determine, is this a male or female, or undetermined, or am I dealing with some sort of alien race or evil demon race? What is my gender, though? So because that can really help you with clarifying some of these things moving forward, like motivation and some of the appearance things. Because like this first one, tall, could mean a lot of different things depending on your gender. And you could even say, even depending on the race. If you're doing a fantasy game and you're creating a dwarf, well, tall for a dwarf is not tall for a human. So you may want to determine some of those things moving into it, but we're just going to kind of start rolling on the chart. So a little bit of information about these three elements, which is motivations, attitude, and appearance. A little bit of an example. The one thing I will criticize this book on is I don't like how these the tables are separated like this. Why they just wasn't like motivation, attitude. Why they broke the tables up. I don't really care for that, but that's a personal thing. So let's do our D20 motivation. 12. Boom, curiosity. So we have someone that's curious. So we have an impaired person that's curious. And their attitude. Attitude is everything. Sarcastic. So now that I'm starting to create my character, my NPC, we have impaired, we have curiosity, and we have sarcastic. So like we can kind of start tying this together, because maybe the person has a drinking problem. Maybe impairment's going to be some sort of altered, like drinking drugs, something like that, causing the impairment. And when they're impaired, they get a little curious, like they start asking questions, and they can get a little sarcastic about it. So we're kind of developing our NPC, and we're giving them some personality, and we're just rolling these random charts. And then we have this D100 chart for appearances. Technically, it says roll once. You can roll on this as many times as you want. It's your NPC. You're creating them. So I rolled a 29. Freckled. Okay, so freckled to me immediately says redhead, red hair. It's just something that a lot of people that have red hair sometimes have freckles. So I'm kind of taking something that I'm familiar with, and gonna roll this into my NPC. So they're freckled, they have red hair. They're a little sarcastic. Okay, that it's all kind of fitting to me. They're kind of, they have a curiosity, and they're impaired. So maybe red people with red hair sometimes have very fair skin, so maybe that impairment now is going to turn into like problems with the sun, problem with, natural sunlight and burning. Impairment, again, it can be a lot of different things. So maybe their impairment is they have fair skin and they shouldn't be out in the sun. So that creates a challenge working with that NPC because maybe they have to cover up and things like that. So we're kind of developing that NPC. And again, examples on the back. And then the second module is going to be Quirks and Madness. So this is now going to really develop your NPC and give you some more insight as to who they are. So we have a D100 chart on the quirks. So we're just going to roll our 2D10s. We got a 94. Oh, blushes constantly. That fits. We got freckles. We're talking a redhead. We're talking flushing because they're pale skin. So whenever the littlest of things embarrass them, or if they feel embarrassed or ashamed or whatever, they blush. It shows. It's just boom. It's there. So what a perfect role for this character. And then we're gonna get into madness. Now, madness is one of those things you need to decide if you want to use this or not, because these types of personality traits for some people may be a little too much, because it could deal with some personal issues, because they do talk about withdrawing and anxiety and mood swings and overeating, and they talk about some things that could affect somebody in real life. What's cool about playing solo is I get to decide what affects me in real life, and I don't have to worry about other people. If you're new to the rolling of dice and tabletop role playing games, and you don't know how to roll a d50, because there is no 50, well, there's probably a 50-sided dice out there, but it's not common. You still roll a d100, and if you roll 50 or below, you just take whatever the number is. If you roll above 50, now I can't get anything to like 63. You just minus 50 from it, and this would be 13. So that's how you roll a d50. I rolled 71, so I'm going to minus 50 from that. That's going to be 21. Nightmares. So now my redhead with freckles, who blushes, who's curious, who's sarcastic, has nightmares. So this is something I can play with real easy, because if this NPC's traveling with the party, that can create some nighttime or sleeping time issues. Or if they just run into the person, maybe I can mention that they had a nightmare and they could tell the story and they think it's real, and you're going to try to help them. Like, you're going to go investigate that story for them, whatever. Or they're just having nightmares because of a trauma and they want you to help solve that trauma. So there we go. And then we have some more examples. And that's it for creating the generic NPCs. So it's the three supplements, supplement 0, 1, and 2, and you get a lot of content for creating quick NPCs at the table. It's a few pages of charts you could pull out. Like, if you just printed out the main charts, it would just be a few pages that you can put into your game master's guide, or your source books, or whatever you have, and boom, you've got a quick NPC generator that you can run with. But then the author goes into very specific types of NPCs. So now we're in module number 3. Again, now we're going to get more information than we did in the first couple supplements. More examples, like real examples and information. And then we're going to get into the actual creating of the NPC. And most of these, will actually have all of the information on one sheet in the back, and maybe even a little worksheet. They're all a little different, but for the most part, that is how these books are developed as you get into these very specific ones. So we're going to have to start with, how did this all begin? How did this evil Dr. Evil become evil? What was the origins of their story? So we're going to start with our origin. Where did we come from? So we have our descriptive information because we're just going to kind of continue on with the NPC that we've kind of created. We have someone having nightmares, red hair, bared skin, freckles, blushes, or embarrasses easy, curiosity, sarcastic, everything that a villain would be. So where'd they come from? What's their backstory? 5. Good deed gone bad. Okay, so our character at one point in life tried to do something good and it went bad, and maybe that's why they're having the nightmares. Maybe they went to rescue someone from a bad situation, like a abusive relationship type situation. They went to confront the person and got beat up real bad, and the person stayed in the abusive relationship and died. I don't know. Whatever you want to create. Good deeds gone bad. And then we're going to go in with what are their goals. So now we're going to go up to a D10. 5. Destroy the world. All right. So good deed gone bad. We want to destroy the world. So our villain's really coming out to be quite the charmer. Again, we haven't really decided what the good deed gone bad is, but we do know whatever it is, they want to destroy the world because of it. So we're going to keep rolling on the charts to continue to develop this character, because maybe some of these other charts will help us determine what those things are. So methodology, a 1. Force of will. So they're going to force their will onto something or someone to destroy the world because of a good deed gone bad. All right. And a role to play. So how does the villain get their ways with the PC? So we gotta what's the role going to be for catalysts? All right, so there's going to have to be some sort of a device system, like maybe sending something out. Maybe it's like a letter, like a ransom letter. I don't know, some sort of a letter, but there's got to be a catalyst um, to get them into action. And then getting touchy feely. What are their core emotions? 10. So boredom. Okay, so this created quite the villain. So we have a villain that's just bored. So maybe they don't have much of a social life, or because we created our fair skinned, freckled redhead, uh, they can't go outside a lot, so they get bored. They're just stuck inside. They come up with this plan. Like maybe the good deed gone bad is maybe one time they went outside to help, and they got sunburnt really bad, and it caused them to even have to stay in more, because now maybe some sort of like skin condition came because they went out and got sunburnt real bad. And they're gonna have to use a catalyst, so they can't do it themselves because they got to force their will. They're gonna have to use a catalyst to make that happen. So depending on the setting would determine how that happens. Maybe they have a follower that does this, like someone that really cares about them, does their evil bidding for them. If it's a more modern game, maybe they're using technology of some sort. So you would have to use your setting to determine that. But they're gonna because they can't go outside and they're bored, and they're gonna try to destroy the world because of whatever this good deed is that went bad. And if you have a story kind of already created, you could kind of tie these things in right off the bat. I'm not pulling from anything, but normally if I'm creating any type of a character, I kind of already have some sort of narrative that I could probably pull from. But this is the Scums and Villains one, and then you kind of just get some more additional information and a summary, and then you get some examples, and then you get a worksheet. So this just has all the charts in one place. The next one is going to be Henchmans or Minions. Again, same concept. Going to get a little bit of information about henchmen, some examples of henchmen, and then you're going to kind of go into rolling on the dice. The henchman type is kind of broken down to, what kind of a henchman are there, because there's different types of henchmen, and it kind of breaks it all down for you. So it's a D10 table. We got stabby, violence. All right. And then if you go here, folks are independent of their employers, preferring solitary work and opposed to working in groups or gangs. They tend to be assassins in the organization and have more authority than other class of henchmen. So this may be your loose cannon type henchman, or you can have some fun with that. What is their defining feature? We rolled a 1, scars. Well, they're stabby. Maybe they lost a knife fight. Maybe they have a very distinguished scar. And then what are their motivations? What motivates them to be what they are? Mindless follower. So now it's just three charts to roll on. So we have a follower. He's just kind of mindless. He just follows this particular now we've created the henchman, the catalyst, the person that's helping our evil villain. Mindless follower. He just follows this person for whatever reason. This henchman just follows him. Maybe it's a debt. Maybe this person is the person they tried to help, the good deed gone wrong, and now they feel indebted to him and they kind of help him. But he has a scar, and maybe that scar is what he was trying to help with, and they took the wrong path in life. They're kind of stabby, Michael Myers or Jason stabby people. So we got some stabby going on. So anyways, now this one doesn't have the worksheet or anything because it's just 3 charts. So you're just creating a henchman. For us, this could also just be a henchman that follows our PCs around. You could have some fun with that. Then we're going to get prisoners and escapees from book number 5. This one's kind of cool because you could be the prisoner. You could actually use this to create a party and have some real fun with this because it's kind of a neat concept. So I'm going to break it down for you and basically talk about prisoners and the whole concept behind this, and then some examples, but how to begin. So first you need to decide your gender for your prisoner. Inhuman, alien, and monster would be really determined based on the game you're playing. If you're playing a Western game and you don't have aliens and monsters in it, you're just gonna pick. So what did they do? So this is an important role because you need to determine if the crime that was committed was real or imagined. And what they're talking about with this is sometimes criminals are actually guilty of a crime and go to jail for it. Sometimes people are innocent and go to jail for a crime they didn't commit. So it's a 50-50 roll. You can just roll any dice and you can do the high roll thing. I would recommend a d6. Low being real, high being imagined. I rolled a 6, so it's imagined. So this prisoner that I'm creating, I haven't determined the gender, so I'm just going to say undetermined because I want to roll some more things. This prisoner may be associated with my group. Maybe this prisoner is the good deed gone bad that harmed the assassin and is going to escape from jail and go exact vengeance. Now I'm creating a story. Okay. So anyways, so real, it's imagined. He didn't commit the crime, so he was wrongfully accused of harming the henchmen for my evil villain. So now we're creating a story. What else we got? So the crime. Now, since we're kind of created a story, we can just determine that it was an assault or it was the causing of the injury, the scarring, or we can roll 6 trespassing. Okay, so the crime was trespassing. So, and maybe the trespassing, maybe the assassin guy was I don't know, doing security or thought somebody was trespassing. So they busted him on trespassing and they couldn't accuse him of the other crime. So maybe that's how that all went down. What was their sentence? How long have they been serving? And I rolled a 6. Centuries. This might be a little Well, I don't know if you're going to go to jail for centuries for trespassing. The story we can thread these together with is he went to jail for a simple trespassing charge, but while in jail, he got into a fight and they added time to his sentence. So we can take a minor crime and turn it into a major sentence because of jail life itself. So intent, what are they trying to get out for? We rolled a 5, complete a task. So again, seek revenge on the evil villain, all that kind of stuff, or team up with them and try to right a wrong, whatever it might be. Where do they, so now we're going to kind of describe the jail. So what kind of a jail is it? It's a 2 walls, so it's your typical walled in jail, big walls, can't get out, Shawshank Redemption type stuff. Um, Jailmates, so cellmates. This is kind of cool. You know, you're going to create a social structure in jail. People that got your back, people watching out for you. So, but all they're saying is you roll a d6 for the number of mates, and then you go through this process for all of them. So you're going to kind of create your own little jail gang. I rolled 5. I got 5 jailmates, so I've made friends with 5 people. We're a small group of individuals, so I would actually go back through and do all this for all of them and create a social structure for my characters. Contraband, you know, this is pretty straightforward stuff. 2, improvised weapon. I have a shank. I sharpened a toothbrush, and now I got a shank. Number of attempts or escape attempts. So what you want to do is you kind of want to roll on this as a d4. So getting a 4 on a d4 is not that complicated. You can do it. Oh, I just did it. My first success. So you would want to track this though, because if you fail a couple times or you haven't attempted it, it could give you a little descriptive information about your character, like especially not attempted. Um, Maybe you're thinking about breaking out, but you're scared, you're concerned, so could create a little bit of fear. You failed, so you got caught a couple times, so maybe that added to your centuries. Recaptured, you got out, but you got caught again, and then success, you got out. So we're on the lamb because I rolled a 4 first time. And then conditions. This could say a lot about what kind of a prison it was. So I rolled a 4, unchecked disease. So yeah, it's not a good prison. There's no ward for your health. There's no one, you know, flus runs rampant, disease runs rampant. So this could mean that my character who escaped, you know, this could have been the reason. This could be the actual motivation for getting out, instead of what we had, which was to complete a task. It's still completing a task, but this is the underlying cause. So, and then you get some examples, and then you get a flow chart. Dink, 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 and then you got some additional information. So this is a cool little, you know, creating some prisoners. Could always be fun, especially depending on your setting. I think like a Wild West setting, this, you know, having some people that escape the end of a noose is always kind of a fun little thing you could have, and that's a great way to create a group of individuals to go out and ride and get the evil people. Artists at work. So this is the one module. It didn't talk a lot to me because it was, you know, it's about creating an artist, but it's the same concepts. You're going to get some background information, and then you're going to roll to determine what kind of an artist you're dealing with. Is it a group of artists, or is it an individual? Are they alive or dead? Are they good? Are they, you know, how is their art handled by the public? The style, the medium, dedication. Then you're going to get into some of the tools and other things. Again, if you need an artist in your game, which could come up, this will provide you that information. It's got a pretty extensive worksheet because you're talking about an artist, so you may have multiple tools or subject matters and different things like that, different mediums. uh, you have something to roll with. It's just it wasn't something that really um, struck anything with me because I would just say they're an artist and just kind of create whatever it is that I was using. So that's done. Damsels in distress. So now we're creating an NPC that's in danger. The author goes into length here explaining the concept of damsels in distress is just a old term used, and in the author saying that all it means is a person or a group of people. It's not necessarily saying anything about the gender, so just it's just a title. But let's get into it. So again, information to go over. Are you dealing with an individual or are you dealing with a group? So this is a 50-50. We're just going to do high, high, low. So we roll a 3. We're dealing with an individual. So we're dealing with one person that's in distress. What type of person? Child, adult, elderly person. I love the fact that they put animal in here. How cool is just think about your character story. Um, you're creating an animal that's in distress. So maybe it's your family pet. Maybe it's an abusive someone's abusing an animal, and that's your motivation. I really like that, and for so many reasons. First of all, I'm an animal control officer. I actually enforce laws dealing with animals, and people get in a lot of trouble because they don't treat animals well. So I just think it's really cool that they added this in, and I can really relate to this if I'm creating an animal in distress because of my knowledge base and things that I know about how people treat animals. So I think it's cool. And then you go supernatural, and then you roll again. Then we get into gender. Either pick or roll, or just keep it undetermined until you finish out everything, and then come back to it if the rolling of everything you've created fits a narrative towards something, or if your story unfolds. Like, you can start with just undetermined, but as your story unfolds you can then assign a gender if you feel necessary. Who caused it? So if this is this self-created or is this an outsider created? So this is something where you may want to you're gonna have to broaden a little bit of your concepts. Did the individual that's in distress cause the distress? So we're dealing with an animal. So did an animal put themselves in a situation like a cat climbed a tree and can't get out of a tree type situation, or did an outside force create it, like the hurricanes just hit in Florida and a lot of animals are being rescued, and did a cat have to climb the tree because of the hurricane, and that's I have to that's what created the damsel in distress concept. So you would just have to figure that out in your story. And again, if you're already in an RPG, playing a game, you're creating this character, you might already have some of this information figured out. The troubles. What's troubling our poor little critter? A 7, supernatural. Cool. So supernatural. So we can maybe there's a spirit haunting them. Maybe they like if you have pets and you understand a lot about sometimes in the middle of the night they start barking at nothing. Well, maybe that barking at nothing is a ghost spirit and they're picking on your dog. I don't know. We can have some fun with supernatural. Depends on your setting again. Location. So we're gonna set a little location here. 5, swamp. Okay. So again, the supernatural thing could be swamp related, swamp creature, or something like that. Or it could just represent water itself, like old water, stinky water. Um, just a little bit more background on animals. Sometimes people don't change out the water and it becomes stagnant, which would be like swampy water, stagnant water. So maybe that could be something we can pull in. So, well, we got something to work with. What kind of condition they have? So a 1, hungry. Okay, so stagnant water, hungry. I'm going with the animal thing. um, um, I don't remember what I created here. I think we're gonna say, but we're just gonna go outside it created. Someone created it for him, and they got supernatural. So, they're hungry, stagnant water. We got supernatural. So I'm gonna say maybe the owner, maybe they're part of it's a guard dog for a cult. They're not taking care of the. It's a supernatural cult type thing, and the problem for the animal is an outside. So I'm rescuing an animal from a cult, creating a story. Now here on locations, I like how they broke it up. They got a modern and a sci-fi. We just decide what we're gonna go with. We're already going modern. 3 suburbs. So we're in the suburbs of a community. There's a cult. They're not taking care of their animal. I'm gonna go in and rescue their animal. And then horror locations. If you're going to go down the supernatural route again, we could have picked the horror location, which would have been a cabin in the woods since I rolled a 3. So either way. So there you go. So we've created, first of all, so with creating this damsel in distress, this character, this NPC, we've actually just created an RPG setting or a starting point for a game because I'm going to go to the cabin in the woods to rescue a dog. I'm just going to say dog that's hungry and doesn't have clean water because it's a guard dog for a cult and they're creating this problem. I can just say it's an undetermined gender of an animal that I'm rescuing right now. So there we go. I have a starting point for a story. Ah, and you have your worksheet in the back, and then you have some examples. And then we get into bandits. Again, there's a total of 11 because it goes from 0 to 10 of these um, supplements, and the next one's just bandit. Again, rinse and repeat. We're just kind of rolling on charts and creating NPCs. We're just getting some information. And as you can see, as I'm doing this, I'm actually creating little story threads that I could write down on a sheet for these NPCs. I can create this. This could be a game in itself of just sitting around creating NPCs and creating little story threads so that way when I want to go play a game I could just have a notebook full of these little NPCs and story threads that I've kind of created to flip through and go, oh, let's do this one. It fits the rules that I want to play and let's go with that. So we get into the bandits again. Here's a bandit worksheet. You know, what's their purpose? What are they trying to accomplish? How are they trying to accomplish it? We're just kind of going through all these different things and descriptors. It's a real quick worksheet, and you have some examples here. So, cults and cultists. So, you can never have enough cool cults and cultists to hang out with in your day to day life. So, book 9 goes into cults and cultists. Again, fair warning, if this is stuff that makes you uncomfortable, you probably don't want to buy this particular one, but it gives you a lot of good information to start with. And then you've got your charts. So let's create a cult. So I'm gonna go to the worksheet though, just to make it a little bit easier. There is a good example of the worksheet all worked out for you. But here's the worksheet. So we're gonna start with how big is our cult. So you need to know the size of your cult. So we got 5. We're a horde. So we're a big cult. So 5 d20s times 20. I'm not going to roll that, but let's just say we're in like 2,000. So, or 1,000. However, we have a lot. We're a big cult. This could be not to say, regular Catholic religions or cults, but we could say this is a church. Just because the words are cult and cultist doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, even though we're trying to create that. But we could say, this is like a church of some sort. Just sharing my thoughts. So, what's the state of our cult? So our cult is slowly declining. So now, because we rolled this, we're a horde, but we're slowly declining. We could say that we were once in the thousands, but now we're just in, 500-600s because we're slowly declining over time. And what's the age of our cult? So this could be a problem here because we're talking about a horde. We got slow, decay. We can't. If we're a brand new cult, that could be an issue. And we're not though. We're one, so we're ancient. So we're D20 times 100 years. So this, just telling you right now, this is going to be, in my eyes, a religious cult because we're ancient, we're slowly declining, and we're hordes. Leadership. So what is our leadership? That's a D6. Two, an individual. So we have an individual that is our leader. So maybe this is more of like a single person heading out this ancient religion that used to be hordes, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but it's slowly declined over the centuries. What is their are their isolation? So what do we got here? Four. They're protected. Very interested. So we got a protected cult. So this could be, protected could be by supernatural powers, or political powers, or law enforcement power. Like there could be a lot of things to describe protected, but they are protected. So maybe they're allowed to be a little bit more free roaming with their beliefs and what they're doing. Commitment. But boom, six. Hopeless. Hopeless. So their commitment, maybe hopeless. It sounds right off bat, it sounds bad, and it could be because they're slowly declining. So there's a little bit of hopelessness, and maybe it's because of the leader. Maybe the group, the horde of followers wants this leader out, this one particular leader out. They feel he's hopeless, like he's no good, he's terrible at what he's doing. So that could be our leadership, our one leaders. They don't feel any passion with him. They feel hopeless around him. Teachings. What do they teach? Two. Physical skills. Okay. Well, physical skills could mean a lot of different things. It's not for if I was going down a religious side, it doesn't really fit too much, but maybe because the religion is protected because people don't like them in the community, they're taught some self-defense skills to defend themselves when out in the public. So we got that. And how do they dress? This might be why they need that. Formal. Okay. So these are people that dress formally. They dress nice. They tuck their shirt in. Their pants fit. Things of that nature. They're very formal people. So this could be like high society type stuff. If you want to go that route, or it could just be they're just very clean cut, very nice looking. You could say business types or professional types, or they just dress formally. Or you can go one step further. When they go to their church and they practice their ancient religion, they dress formally for their ancient religion, which would be a whole fun slew of things that you could put out there. And then focus. What is their focus as a group? Two, powers and politics. Okay, so this really just kind of came together quickly for this cult. They want power, they want politics, but they are an ancient cult, ancient belief system. They have a single leader, but the horde of followers that's slowly been declining over the years feel hopeless because they don't trust this. So we're going to create kind of a internal struggle. But they're taught physical skills because people in the community don't like them, don't like their beliefs, don't like what they do, don't like the leader. Maybe the leader, that's maybe why they feel hopeless, because the leader's negative. Maybe the leader is preaching too hard and not bringing new people in and criticizing people too much. So maybe that's why we have everything going on, but their main focus is power and politics. And then you have a descriptor. So this is a D100. You can use this descriptor to describe anything you want about your cult or your cultist, because it's such you're talking about a bigger group. So let's roll the word first. So we got 23. Clothing. Okay. So everything just kind of came into play. We rolled clothing, we got formal, we got an ancient religion. So, and we got their top physical skills to defend themselves, and they're protected. So I'm creating cults that wears their ancient clothing, like however they maybe it's very decorative, formal wear, but it's a little over the top. So I cut the section on cults and cultists a little short. My dice rolling and everything I was coming up with and everything I was creating, um, I started comparing everything to an actual religion. And after I got done and I reviewed my video, I didn't feel it was fair to share it because I shouldn't have compared it to an actual religion. And I just felt that was wrong. So I kind of cut it short. However, I do feel what I shared up to that point kind of showed you how quickly you can create a cult and cultist for that cult and do it quickly, uh, just using the few charts that was there. But I do apologize that I cut it short because I started flowing, everything started coming out, and I compared it to an actual religion, and I just felt that it wasn't suitable anymore to share to compare religion to what I was doing, so I cut it short. So do apologize. I'll get on to the last part of the video. Uh, Caveat emptor, buyer beware. So this last supplement talks about creating business transaction people, like sellers and buyers and things of that nature, and what are they selling and what are you buying, and those kinds of things. And you just kind of run through it. Who, again, monster, alien, and human, based on your system that you're playing. If you're playing sci-fi, you can probably add some of those things in. Playing fantasy, you could probably do some of this stuff. But if you're doing like an old west game, unless you're doing like a weird wild west or something like that, you may just stick with genders. The person you're creating, are they a buyer or seller? So, high low 3. I'm creating a seller. What are they selling? We got a D20 roll. 15. You're selling jewelry. So I've created a jeweler of some sort. How did it go? So were they successful? So is my seller good at closing the deal, selling their jewelry? Have they had a lot of successes? This is just a simple D4 roll. I rolled a 4, total failure. So maybe they're not good at selling jewelry. Maybe you witnessed them fail at selling a piece of jewelry, and that's why you're there. Transport. So how do they get around? This. So some of this may be more suited to fantasy, and you may not use it because, like, an animal cart for a jeweler doesn't make a lot of sense in a modern setting, but in a fantasy setting, it's by all means does. And how do they feel? What's their emotional state? So again, this you can just roll up or just pick. Here we're just gonna, what is their emotional state? 9, shocked. They are shocked that they're terrible at selling stuff. And are they done? Not quite done. Finished. Again, do they do they keep going after it? Or once they fail the sale, they just give up? This is just kind of random. And you may just want to roll it and kind of see if it fits into your story, because like the not quite done, it'd be real easy to incorporate into like pressure sales. Like the salesman is into the pressure, or if they're a buyer, they want more. Not quite done, not quite yet. Where that's not a good enough deal yet. So it could be how they handle the bartering process. So you would have to determine that based on your story, and then descriptor stuff. So D100. 100 street. You can take street to mean a lot of different things. It could be a street vendor. It could be someone that lives on the street. They're a huckster. They're hustling, trying to make a buck, trying to survive. So you can take street to mean a lot of different things. Or they're maybe they sell stuff that's used on the street, like cars. It could be a car salesman or equipment sales, or they do street work. I don't know. You streets opens up a lot of doors for different things. again, those are the charts. Then you get into a walkthrough on the examples, just giving you more of how it's used. Here's some stuff kind of more specific to sci-fi, which I like. They're not mixing the sci-fi stuff in with everything else, because sci-fi is usually very specific, especially when you start talking alien technology stuff and things like that. Then you get a cool little example characters. Again, you can pull these out and just use these. And then you got your worksheet. And that kind of wraps up the Insta Npc um, library, because all of these are individual supplements that you can buy. They all come as a PDF off of Drive-Thru RPG. I'm going to put a link to Me, Myself, and Die in the description, to the video that Trevor used when he talked about these. If you want to buy them, please use that affiliate link. I don't do any of the affiliation stuff or anything, but I know he is a channel trying to become a full-time channel. So any help he can get is appreciated, I'm sure. And then, yeah, so that's it. And again, the bookbinding was done by me. This was just a fun little bookbinding project. I do enjoy doing the bookbinding. So that is it. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.